Right, welcome back to a super exciting episode of Learning Insights by All Cloud.
Because of fintechs, you can really source great customers at cheapest cost right now.
Just building a business is something, scaling a business is a different ballgame altogether. 0 to 100 may be possible, but what is beyond 100?
In India, it's the most profitable provided you have the right mindset and the right team and the right compliance structure.
There is efficiency, right? Efficiency in onboarding customer and efficiency in sourcing fund. Put together, it's a scalable business.
Access-based lending ecosystem is also something which can be very helpful for a place like India.
Today's topic is scaling beyond 0 to 100. And I couldn't have found a better guest, a better speaker on scaling. My dear friend Pratekk Agarwaal, welcome to Learning Insights by All Cloud. I know that scaling is something which is very close to your heart. And definitely with this conversation, I'm sure I'm going to get some few tips about scaling ourselves. So Pratik, welcome to Learning Insights. And it's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Rahul, for having me here. I am looking forward to this conversation.
As I am, yes. So let me jump directly into the very specific question. What we want to know about is building a business is something, scaling a business is a different ballgame altogether. 0 to 100 may be possible, but what is beyond 100? And this is not just from the point of fintech or lending, but what does it take to go beyond 100?
Very interesting question. I think I'll break it up into 0 to 1,
Okay.
1 to 5, 5 to 20, 20 to 50, and 50 to 100.
Right.
Right. And how I have seen out of my last 20 years journey is that we all are champions for one starting point to another, right? I might be a great scale up guy, but somebody else might be a great starter. So subject matter expert. Most of the founders I interact with are great at building the company from 0 to 1 and 1 to 5. But normally they find challenges when they reach the 5. And the mindset is very different from building a 0 to 100 company. And I think that is the core which I try to solve for, right? When I invest or when I work with a founder and the mindset change, right? So it's more of a mindset change, as you rightly said, because everybody wants to build a 0 to 100, but they don't really have right skills or people for it.
Fantastic. I think now we've heard about the Pratik's theory of startup evolution, like the Darwin's theory of the human evolution, where you've broken down the 0 to 100 in so many stages. Which is the stage that you like the most?
So for me, the exciting part so far was building the 5 to 100 kind of thing.
Okay.
And today I'm most excited in building my portfolio where I work with founders who have done the perfect 0 to 5 journey. And can I contribute in any way? And we work along together to build that 5 to 100 journey. So it's more exciting now where I get to work with not one founder, but I get to work with multiple founders on the same vision.
Exactly. You said that you wanted to start up and you did something, but then you thought, this is not for me. I think that's the starter's problem. But your expertise is in the scale up, right? So you're taking people from 5 to 50, 50 to 100. In this space, I'm sure that there are a lot of challenges that a business owner feels. I can resonate with them because scaling is definitely a different mindset, a different progression from how you start building it out. What are the common, I would say, impediments to this mindset? Where does it get stuck? Is it people? Is it processes? It is money? Or is it just the zeal which doesn't allow people to move from that 5 to 10 and 10 to 50?
It's, I think, the introspection.
Okay.
I think founders are typically the rocket boys, where they are the best fathers for their kids, they feel, right? And they're so much into it. And that is the reason they are founders, right? They're so passionate about what they're building. And in that entire thing, they somewhere forget that it requires a change of approach. It requires certain change management. It requires different people to come together to take the journey from five to. I'll give you a classic example of a rocket. When a rocket wants to go in the orbit, it is first the heaviest, so it can go to first. Then it won't go to the next until unless it sheds off certain load. And then there is a push. So fire in the belly and a lighter mindset and open to let go of things. I think these are the stages where the founder needs to get right people. And to get right people, first he needs to also understand that what he is great at and what other people are good at.
So getting more people to do something great and letting off certain things is definitely, I think, what you
Yes.
advise people.
So, sabse pehle, I would say that it is about introspection. So, when I was moving out and I wanted to start up, I actually took a 2 week break just by myself, went, sat in a shack in Goa, did nothing but just thinking about my entire career, my stints, the people I've worked with, which one went very good, which was not so good, and what were the instincts, what were the key driving points when I wanted to move to the next role. Uh,
And you've had many.
and I have had many. I have had.
So you've built a personal loan business. You've been into a MSME housing business as well. And then you've moved to one of the largest fintechs, scale, build together. And from there, you've taken that plunge to advising people, working with startups, and now entrepreneurship.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure that the journey has been very exciting as well for you.
It's been roller coaster, but it's very rewarding. Working with about 12 companies, 20 profiles, probably 25 bosses, maybe. So I think it's been different, very different and very rewarding now. Earlier, it was not that great, right? People didn't want to hire me because I never stayed at one job for more than 2 years. So that was the liability. Now somewhere it has become an asset because I've had so many experiences. But coming back to the point, first is introspection by the founder as to I feel that what he's good at, he needs to write it down, and what help he needs from the ecosystem. That has to be very clear.
Okay. The ask has to be clear.
Ask has to be clear. The calling has to be clear that what do I need from other people and what am I good at. If he thinks that he is the best guy to do everything, then the company will not go beyond 5. He'll be able to build a fantastic company till 5, but the journey from 5 to 20 will be extremely difficult. And then he will not be able to expand. And very few people I have seen who are able to change their mindset and move things. So they were very different when they were building a 0 to 5, and they were very different when I met them when they were building the 5 to 50. So it's not that it is not possible, but most of the times the clarity of thought needs to be there.
Interesting. Since we spoke about your journey and then the way you identify that fire in the belly, let's get to what you're doing today. I know that you've moved from working to advising to now investing. Growth Cap Ventures. Let's talk about that. What is Growth Cap Ventures all about? What is your interest? What is the thesis of this fund?
So it was never in the plan. First, I started advising where I wanted to understand what the founders want. How can I really give back to the ecosystem? How can I work with them to build the companies? Because most of the times I found myself more visionary for their product and their business than themselves.
Okay.
Today, most of my companies, I think around 70% of the companies, I have much larger vision for the founders than they had it for themselves. And that's where I always got in touch. I always kept in touch. And somewhere we strike the deal later on, right? When I came on board. But yeah, I think these experiences have given me that kind of understanding that which founder can build a company till what, how good, how unique is the product, where all we can do more with the product, right? And how big we can make the company. So I think that mindset was there. I tried to communicate that vision to the founder, got them excited as well onto what my vision was, right? And then I started investing in them. because when it was about building trust, right? What better than writing the same check, writing a check for them in the company? So you have the skin in the game. So that's how I started advising, then investing. And somewhere I came back when I was thinking about it last year that I've been investing in my personal capacity so far. So I was like, what next? Can I write a larger check? But you always have a limitation. And that's where growth cap ventures, which is growth capital ventures, is primarily about, can we provide them with capital? Can we provide right founders with advisory and the ecosystem and eventually a community where they get access to everything? So today, founders only have to execute it. And in whatever capacity, in whatever time we have, I'm accessible to them where just tell me what you need and I'll try
Working
to
with
find
them
out
on the strategy as well,
everything.
everything. So what are the specific areas? And I would love to hear from you on fintech, because I know that's a very specific part, very interesting part for me and for you as well. You've been in the fintech domain for long. So where do you see, let's put this 0 to 100 scaling mindset and fintech together?
So fintech for me is changing the way we look at money in India. Fintech for me is a tool where I can reach out to anybody, anywhere, and provide them with capital because we are a capital starved country. And fintech is one of those mediums where you can instantaneously give loans to people. We are inherently jugaad. We know what to do, we know how to do it, we know how fast we can do it. The only thing which is blocker to most of us is capital.
Yep.
Now fintech has given that leverage to us in last 5 7 years, that we can provide with instant capital by doing KYC, by accessing your bureau report, by looking at your transactions,
India stack.
India stack, right? So all of that, what we have done in last 5 to 7 years is something which is going to create the next biggest economy in next 15 years. And fintech is the tool for it.
We had so many fantastic fintech organizations in this country who have changed the mindset. World over, examples of Indian ecosystem, Indian fintechs is being talked about. Which is the most exciting space in fintech for you?
I think everything in
Fintech
fintech
is
is
interesting,
exciting for
fantastic.
me. So why fintechs are not able to scale is purely because they're not able to understand the larger picture.
Okay.
Most of them I have seen talking tactical, very transactional, and meeting something which is needed for today,
For today,
not for the future. And fintech and lending is no more
today's game.
a side project or a college project, right? Or something which is only story driven for me. You can create great stories. However, it requires you to really build a larger vision, have deep pockets, have a very, very strong view of regulator and compliance because you're dealing with money and consumer data. So, next 5 years is going to be about people who are having a tick on, or probably
To check all
next,
these
yeah,
boxes
next
out.
5 years is about people who pay lot of attention and detail to where, which target segment they are going after, what is the kind of risk, understanding how important collections is, understanding how important regulation is, and compliance.
So yeah, let us go back to this conversation then. We've seen fintechs grow, balloon in India, and fintech as a segment came out. There is fintech, then there were lenders. So fintechs technically, well, they were pseudo lenders. They were not actually lending on their own book. But now we've seen regulation in place that makes the front ending of a financial transaction, of a lending transaction, separate from the lending on their own book transaction. There are 10,000 odd NBFCs in India, a few hundred banks, and there are different organizations that can lend, but there are many that can't lend. But the fintechs that can't lend today are actually enabling a lot of lending. Is this going to change? Or will the NBFCs have to now step up and say, okay, we are going to be front ending? Is that going to happen? Or you still think that the fintechs are going to still rule the onboarding of customers? And getting business?
So I think fintechs will play a very important role in customer acquisition because historically and futuristically, I don't see banks doing so much of innovation in acquisitions.
But they are partnering with fintechs.
Yeah, they will partner. They will partner. Eventually, everybody will have to partner with banks because they have the capital and they work directly with the RBI. It's easier
Access to funds.
access to funds. However, fintechs will play a very important role in customer acquisition and technology enablement. Second is that fintechs will have to tie up with regulated entities, which is NBFCs and banks who understand and who wants to build these kind of businesses.
Will be a more symbiotic relationship between a
Absolutely.
fintech and a bank, and both will enable each other to actually
Absolutely.
scale their business.
They will have to scale. And the next comes where fintech becomes a bank and fintech becomes an NBFC, but they again will be able to only do so much individually, right? So as we are building the data pipes, the India stack story, the UPI, the auto pay, the KYC stacks, the conversational KYC, with all of these things, it will typically, how I look at it is that it will be more like a co-lending arrangement, right? With NBFCs, banks, or somebody who has access to cheaper funds and a mindset of technology and growth will be moving much faster and building a better asset book than anybody else.
I think what I understand from this one is that there is efficiency, right? Efficiency in onboarding customer and efficiency in sourcing fund. Put together, it's a scalable business.
Absolutely. It's a scalable business.
Yeah. And we've seen lending grow. And the vision of our vision as well in this age is that India should be one of the top economies of the world. And I think Indian fintech sector is going to be a great contributor to that. With growth cap ventures, again, where you are funding businesses, how much of you think, how much of this capital is going into the fintech space?
So I think the capital is scarce now, right? I think the capital is finding right institutions. The capital is finding right founders who understand the nitty-gritties and the vision, right? And who are serious players and who have a profitable mindset as well. And probably in next 12 months, I think this will be much more clear
Clear, okay?
where the funding will again restart because it's no more a story now. You
Strong
have,
metrics.
yes, it is very strong. If even if you're growing right now and burning money, but you need to have a very clear vision to profitability. To me, where I come from a pedigree where collections first approach, in my earlier stints with NBFCs, it is, I have been trained in that way where how can a lending business be non-profitable?
Correct.
So I don't understand that.
Lending business failing.
Yeah, lending business failing, and it's not about giving money. It's about how much of money you have got it back.
So let's take few strands of your thoughts and let's take this advice to lending specifically now. Scaling beyond 100 crores. I'm putting a benchmark to 100 crore because I think any NBFC less than 100 crores and they'll have challenges of growth. They'll have challenges of being efficient. But post 100 CR, how do they need to build their book? Is it collaboration? Is it innovation? Is it hardcore metrics of acquire good customer and have a better collection mechanism? What is it that the lender needs to scale beyond 100?
I think beyond 100 crores, first is you need to have a better investor
Okay, saying capital.
who's a partner.
Okay.
So you can build a 10,000 crore book, but lending rules are very clearly defined that whatever you have invested, you can raise probably 4 times, right? The best is 5 times you can raise in an NBFC. So it's not about building a 50 crore or a 100 crore book. It's about who is your partner, who are owners of the NBFC, how much of capital does one have to invest in an NBFC business. And that is the reason NBFC is no more child's play. Better not to have an NBFC if you do not have a starting capital of, say, 50 crores or 100 crores, right? Those days are gone where people used to get an NBFC license with 5 crores, 10 crores, but now you're all stuck. You can't raise capital, you can't put in capital, and you are stuck in that 50 crore, 40 crore business.
So clear takeaway from Pratekk Agarwaal is that capital is one thing that NBFCs need to apportion for as a strategy, acquire capital at a more efficient, cheaper rate to grow. What are the other components? Are people something important or process something important, or is this some other third P which you would like to talk about?
I think if you are starting up with an NBFC, you have to have your own capital so much to grow.
Okay.
Because that is a clear multiplier. First. Second is that identify the space which you want. Do you understand MSME better or consumer better or fintech better?
Let me stop you here on this one. Which space do you think is most exciting?
For me, MSME is very exciting and invoice financing is very exciting.
Okay.
Because you're giving money against a purchase.
Yeah.
Where the purchase is very clearly defined.
So that again, it is funding a business. The business will fund growth, and then NBFCs will contribute to the growth in one
Absolutely.
and definitely in a definite way. Yeah.
So one is that. Third is once you have identified where do you want to, which is your target segment,
Correct.
what are the systems you want to build? How are you looking at your acquisition cost, right? What is that net interest margin you will make? And what is your next 5 years plan? And how are you leveraging the ecosystem? Because of fintechs, you can really source great customers at cheapest cost right now.
Yep.
Are you leveraging that? I don't see lot of NBFC owners doing that. And yeah, I think these are some of the key components to building an NBFC business in India. It's the most profitable, provided you have the right mindset and the right team and the right compliance structure.
Compliance is a very interesting topic because we have got one of the most proactive regulators in the world.
Absolutely.
Right? And it's going in the right direction. The systemic risk is being reduced. It is a reality of today. We know that where the more developed Western economies are still struggling and deciding whether they are in recession or not, are going to go there or not. Every day there is a talk about India being recession proof. Where do you see compliance is going and how do we tackle these compliances? When I say tackle, how do we address the compliances?
So I think it's really tough to be compliant and not spend.
Okay.
I think to manage all the compliances, right, you need to have certain size of the NBFC or the book or earning.
Or any lender's book.
Any lender's book, right? So with a 20 crore book or a 25 crore book, I doubt if you will be able to pay off your lawyers and compliances bill, frankly speaking, right? So I think you need to be at a certain place. Second is, I think we need to have less compliances for private limited company kinds.
Okay.
If you have less
scale-based compliances.
Yeah, scale-based compliance. I think this scale-based has to be applied at various places, right? We have one regulation which is for everybody. For a person who is earning 10,000 rupees and for a person who is earning probably a crore rupees, right? So I think access-based lending ecosystem is also something which can be very helpful for place like India.
Correct. So scale-based or what is apt for my size today should be a compliance that I need to worry about. And that's how it should come from the regulator as well.
Absolutely.
You make it a little easy for people to grow. So that's a catalyst to the ecosystem. And when it is a sizable book, then you add more compliance structures. And if it is a systemically important, then you have more compliances.
Absolutely. When a plant is growing, you can't put so much of control or probably a pesticide or overwatering or over sunlight, right? So I think we're just too heavy on it.
Let's circling back again to the entire conversation on scaling. I can't stop myself from asking, Prateek, why do you do what you do?
Okay. I think since till the time I was in a corporate role, right, I always had this mindset of, am I justifying my salary? And I always love this from Three Idiots, right? And I'm more of that where you go there and learn. So learning was something where it was inherent that I want to learn if something is exciting for me. And the purpose where I started working with founders is in this new thing is about identifying right founders, mindset, and translating my vision, right? And together growing that company. My purpose is now I take pride in building the companies along with the founders And I think this is something which is started happening now. So when I spend time, some leisure time with the companies I've worked with and the founders, we laugh on when we were on the first slide, when we were just raising, when we were just started raising, when we just started sketching the
The
storyline,
first conversation,
how we got started. And today, when we have raised money, when we are probably 100 crore brand or even a 500 crore brand, right? And then we look at each other with pride that you believed in me and I believed in you. And I think that is the kicker for me, right? And yeah, that's the purpose. I work with these founders. Can I work with these companies? Can I translate my vision? And can they execute it, right? And as a teamwork, we want to be probably
scaling expert.
Scaling experts, right?
Sarain, we've heard some beautiful takeaways on this conversation from Prateek. And as I said earlier, I've, as always, taken back a few notes for myself personally. And to the lending fraternity, to the fintech fraternity that we're speaking to today, this was Pratekk Agarwaal on Lending Insights by All Cloud. It was a pleasure hosting you, and we look forward to speaking to more interesting people, having more interesting conversations on our podcast. Signing off for today.